the gold of the sea. Now, I don't think anyone actually calls it that, but seafood, it's one of the weirdest topics as far as nutrition goes, and there's just so much variation. It's a whole nother universe down there, so you can imagine things are just all out of whack. It's not like land-based meat where things have generally a very similar macro and micronutrient profile, but underwater you have things like carb-based meats and actual zinc bombs and these spiky things. Like, what's going on? We'll get to all of that in a second, but first off, let's go find some. And that way I can use the cooking as B-roll. This is fantastic. I'll see you there. Hello, today we're getting some shellfish. In New Zealand we have this thing called power, which is abalone if you're in some other parts of the world, but basically it's a big shellfish. You don't have to dive too deep, which is good because I'm a long jumper, not a diver, so I'll bring the GoPro in. It's pretty old, it doesn't have much battery, but let's go get some. Yeah, so that was me diving. I'm not like an exceptional diver, it's kind of just a bit of a side hobby, but if you do enjoy this type of like weird nutrition content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I do put quite a bit of effort into these videos, so I would really appreciate that. But anyway, so while I get into the nutrition for these actual seafood things, I'm just going to run that cooking B-roll. I tried to make something similar to the meal my Chinese friends made for me recently. I brought over the power for them and it was really nice because the power I found were quite big, so my Chinese friends were like, 哎呀，你的鲍鱼是真大的，你在什么地方找到了？ And I was like, 哦，我知道，我说好厉害啊！我潜水的时候看像一条鱼一样的。I was lying, but so into the actual nutrition of seafood. So it's a wide topic. Everything's so different. We'll get to the power in a second, but let's start with oysters. So oysters, absolute zinc bomb, and zinc is really important, particularly for males, but females too. It's involved in testosterone levels, and a lot of us don't get enough of it. It's in, you know, some foods. It's not in every food. It's a bit higher in meat sources, and oysters are just like through the roof, so dense with zinc. Like you only need like 70 grams to get to your daily zinc target, but of course, because you're getting zinc from other foods, you need even less just to make sure you're actually getting that, because the other foods might make up like 50% of the way. So it's also got B12 like all animal products, but also an important part with seafood is it's all reasonably high in omega-3, and omega-3 and omega-6 are two really important fat types, and although we do need omega-6, it's really easy nowadays to get too much of it, and if the ratio is a bit off, in other words, if we're getting too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3, it can actually be pro-inflammatory, which is not good. And it's easy to get a lot of it because it's in a lot of seed oils, which have their problems. As I said, we need omega-6, but it's easy to get too much nowadays just because it's in a lot of these processed foods, surprisingly. And conversely, these processed foods don't have the omega-3. So when you can get more omega-3, like through seafood or oily fish or flax seeds or chia seeds, it's going to be great for you. You can make sure you're not running into these inflammatory issues. And omega-3 we need for a lot of organ function and managing blood lipids. It's fantastic stuff, which is one of the reasons people really endorse fish oils, because they have this omega-3 and it can be a little bit harder to get in our diet. Unfortunately, no one really wants to eat oysters. People might prefer mussels, but mussels aren't as good. They have, you know, selenium and B12 like oysters do, but they also have manganese, but none of these things are actually that hard to get through a balanced diet, so it's not really, I would say, a very potent health food as far as nutrition goes. Next up we have squid and octopus, and this is so weird because looking into this I was so surprised. I like triple checked this one thing because I just didn't believe it, but apparently cooked octopus is just Like, you may as well be eating a cast iron pan. It is outrageous. Like, I've spoken before that beef liver is fantastic as far as iron goes, and of course a whole range of micronutrients. It's also very bioavailable, but cooked octopus has 50% more iron than beef liver. And I was like, what? Like, is this a mistake? It's outrageous. Like, of course most meats have iron, but I'm still in disbelief. Squid and octopus both have B12, selenium, copper, and, you know, decent protein, omega-3s, but I'd say octopus is a little bit better. Squid doesn't really have that much iron. Now, another point here is things like copper and selenium, these metals, we do need them, but we can also have too much of them. But I would say you'd probably have to be eating, like, probably close to half a kilo or more of seafood on a regular basis, like during a day, to actually hit these upper limits, we call them, where you're having too much to where the micronutrients like a detriment, but something to keep in mind. I doubt you're running into this issue unless you're like actually Poseidon. In that case, you know, drop it like Poseidon. The next weird one up here is sea urchin, and this is an animal, and you might be thinking, why does it have fiber, vitamin A, and vitamin C? This isn't a fruit. And I was so surprised. I was like, what is going on here? But the reason for this is they're actually detrimental to kelp beds. This is what they mostly eat. They decimate them, which is why they're a pest and a problem species in some areas. People are just like intensively harvesting them because, you know, particularly in the Asian market, they love them. So there's that. But yeah, really weird. It's like, I guess this could be used in the carnivore diet to actually get a bit more vitamin A and C and I guess fiber if you want. Next up is seaweed. Now the only plant I'm including here, yeah, I said octopus is really high iron. Seaweed's actually really high as well. Now seaweed, like most plants, isn't going to be as bioavailable as far as the iron goes, but you can amplify that with vitamin C intake, which seaweed has. So the bioavailability of seaweed iron is actually okay, which actually makes it a good option for vegetarians or vegans, surprisingly. Now it can vary based on the species of seaweed, but it also has, you know, a bunch of other helpful things like B vitamins, selenium, manganese. But I'd say the iron is kind of the strong point here. It is hard to get good iron from plant sources, so as well, a lot of people are deficient in iron. And, you know, no one likes anemia, so so I guess you could go for seaweed if you really don't like meat. Next up is crustaceans, so like things like crabs or lobsters or even shrimp. These are all really high in copper and selenium, but again, these usually aren't problem nutrients. They all have some omega-3s and, of course, protein, because they're just a regular meat. But these are okay. They're not like fantastic health food, and they're not crazy strange like some of the other things, so we'll keep it moving. So now on to the weird one, which is what I'm cooking up in the B-roll here, the power, or the abalone, as you might know from other places. And this is a mollusk, and to my knowledge, it's like the only carb-based meat. It's like almost half carbs and the rest being protein, like a crumb of fat, but like, that's just so weird to me. Selenium, zinc, B12, like pretty much everything else here, so I'll just gloss over those. But it has vitamin K, which is really weird. Usually that's only in plants. And also has that sweet vitamin E, which is a little harder to get than some micronutrients, and it's for that sweet anti-inflammatory properties. So pretty good health food. But anyway, that's kind of been a breakdown for different types of seafood. And I guess to sum it up, I'd say oysters and octopus are some of the best options. Seaweed's kind of weird, bit of a dark horse, and sea urchins, kind of similar story with the seaweed. And so this is what I kind of ended up with as far as that meal goes. The sauce looks a little bit weird. It was a lot of garlic. I'm not a big fan of garlic, but it just works so well with it, so it was pretty nice. And yeah, this is a bit of a weird video. I kind of just wanted to use the dive footage and make something a little bit different, so let me know if you enjoyed that. But yeah, it kind of makes sense that these meats are like following different rules compared to like land-based meats, because yeah, as I said before, it's just a whole nother world down there, and the things they're eating are not the same as what a cow eats, of course, or, you know, a sheep or whatever. So yeah, take from that what you will. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.